up, everybody? Look what made it into the big shop. 34 coupes in the garage now. It's been down here for about a month. But I haven't been on YouTube for about 6 months. As you guys know, people have been emailing, messaging, texting, commenting on the old videos. Oh, Allie's calling. All right, where were we? Just got a phone call from Allie. Allie says hello. It's been, like I said, 6 months. A lot of people have been asking what's going on, where I've been, what I've been up to. Obviously, still doing a little bit of car stuff, but I had to scale way back. My last video was the drag race in Northeast Vintage Drags, which we held up at New Oxford Dragway up in Oxford, Maine, and that was held on Memorial Day weekend 2023. We're doing it again this coming year, same weekend, Memorial Day weekend 2024. Same dragway, everything the same. So, people want to know what's going on and where I've been and why I've decided to take some time off of YouTube. The reasons, there's been kind of a couple reasons that I took some time off of YouTube, or I was kind of forced in a way, not in a bad way, but my kids, I have two kids. They're not young. They're obviously, younger than me, but my son's 26 and my daughter's 21. And I've always tried to be a hands-on type of dad, like doing stuff with my kids, and we're always busy when they were growing up, always, exposing them to different things. And now that they're a little bit older, I thought, well, I've got some time for myself now that I can, do this stuff, the car stuff. I don't want to say that I wasn't paying attention to my kids, but I just thought they kind of live in their own lives, and they have their own lives to live and their freedom. And I kind of have a little bit of freedom now, being that they're a little bit older, but they came to me and said that they missed doing a lot of the things that we used to do, like kayaking and the camping and bike rides and just going like geocaching and doing hikes and stuff like that. Kind of got away from that, and I really kind of threw all my eggs into the hot rod basket, so to speak. My kids just basically let me know that they were kind of bummed. It's even in their mid-20s or early 20s, the fact that they still want to hang out with dad. I kind of took it for granted, I suppose. That was one reason why I dialed it back. The other reason, my parents are getting older. My parents are both in their late 70s. My mom runs a business on her property, and it's been a lot for her. Both of my parents are, I don't want to get choked up here, but both of my parents are at the age where there's starting to be some medical things and some health concerns, and I need to be available for my parents. And again, something kind of had to give. I'm still working, I'm still, living, I'm doing my thing. I'm still a little bit in the garage, not as much as I'd like to be, but the only thing that I could really minimize was the YouTube and the time I spent in the garage. And that's kind of where I've been for the last 6 months. Allie left her job in April, and she has been kind of like helping me with my work and the books and all that stuff and invoicing and doing the bills. And she's been spending time with her grandmother and also helping me with my parents when I need help. And she's kind of been a saving grace, and I couldn't do what I'm doing without her. And I'm very, very fortunate that I have her in my life. A lot of things have changed. I'm actually going to spin you guys a little bit, and you'll see one thing that's changed. I now have a lift in the garage. Whoops, sorry about that. So I have a lift now. I bought a 4-post lift. That's a portable lift, so the kind with the casters that you can move around. You can see the 30 Coupe is up on the lift. The 29 sedan, that's what started this whole hot rod thing, was a journey, adventure, whatever you call it. That's under the lift. The 30 Coupe is on the lift because it's got a couple of things that needs to get done to it. I want to put a new clutch disc in it. What else? Got a little bit of an exhaust leak on one of the collector flanges. I got the gaskets to do that. Just a couple little things that need to get done. Wow, Allie's calling me again. Back. The coupe's on the lift. I got a couple things that I want to do to the coupe. The radiator leaks a little bit. I need to fix the radiator. Got to put a clutch in it. Want to do like new brake pads and stuff like that. The reason why I'm doing all those things to that car is that car is going to be for sale probably over the winter if I can get to it. The reason why I don't know if I'll get to it is because I'm probably going to be neck deep in the 34 Coupe. A little update on the 34 Coupe. Well, another update, the 31 sedan that I built, which was kind of like the last video series before the drag race, I finally sold that. I asked a lot of money for it at the beginning, way too much, and I hung on to it basically for the whole summer. It wasn't until the fall that I just recently sold that, so I'm happy that that's gone. And that freed up some money so I could buy the lift and do some other things, and now I got some space. Oh, the 29 Roadster's gone too. We sold that Roadster also. Yeah, so this is what we're working on. This is what I started the channel with, and this is what I'm doing right now. So after about a year at the machine shop, I finally got my motor back. The motor that's going in this car is a 371 Oldsmobile. It's got a big cam in it. It's got a 534, 535 lift, a long duration cam, solid lifter with adjustable McGurk rocker assembly on it. And I got a lot of the parts that are gonna go on the motor right here. You can see I've got the NASCAR style old chrome dimpled valve covers, old chrome valley pan, old chrome fan. I've got a complete 6.2 log intake for it, which I'll have 697s on. It's going to have a 4-speed, it's a 64 Ford top loader, HEHD. I believe that is it was a 64, it came out of a 64 Fairlane 390 4-speed car. So should be plenty enough to hold up to the power that's going to be putting down on that from that Oldsmobile. And then the rear axle is out of a 61 or a 62 Impala. It's a posi rear axle. That's running like a 354 gear ratio, I believe, something like that. It's 350 something. I got a lot of old chrome bits and stuff that are going to go on the motor. The motor, you can see, is wrapped up in plastic at the back of the shop. We put the entire rotating assembly together this past weekend, myself and my buddy Joe. And the next step at this point, I just ran down to the machine shop this morning and picked up my oil pan because he was deep cleaning the oil pan in his parts cleaner. So I picked that up. So now I'm working on that, just trying to get that cleaned up so I can get the gasket surfaces all nice and clean, get it gasketed, get it put onto the motor. Also at the same time, I need to do the timing cover, which is the timing cover and the water pump housing. That's how the front of the Oldsmobiles are designed. So I'm going to do that and the oil pan at the same time. But like I said, I'm in the process right now of just cleaning up that oil pan. It's been a lot this year. This year it's kind of been a tough year for me, but that's just how life goes. I'm not the only one that has struggles, and I am well aware of that. But just trying to manage just everything involved in my life, and work and kids and family and fun stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna take you for a quick tour, show you guys what's what, show you what's new, and yeah, kind of get to work on getting this oil pan cleaned up so we can get this thing put back on the motor. All right, so for those of you that don't know about this car, this is a 34 Ford 5-window coupe. This is what I started my YouTube channel, the car that I started my channel on or with. This car was built in 1962 by a gentleman named, or a kid at the time, by the name of George Ryan. George Ryan now lives in West Springfield, Mass, and he is a lifelong hot rod guy, car builder, hot rodder. Used to work at a place when he was a younger kid named Cochichuit Speed. So that also will at some point end up lettered or pinstriped on this car at some point. My buddy Brian Cheney, rest in peace. He's no longer with us, but he did a little bit of pinstriping on the firewall, so I'm very fortunate to have that. The car is a 34 5-window. It was built in 62, roughly 61, 62. It has a 6-inch channel. As you can see, the body is welded right to the chassis. So it's all welded down here in the front, welded all the way across. So this right here would be the sill panel. That should be the floor right there, but you can see it's 6 inches lower than it should be. All the sheet metal work is done. I stopped on the inside. I stopped at the dash because I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do for gauges, and I'm still not sure. Something Joe and I were going over the other night. But the car was purchased and sold a few times back in the day. It sat from about the mid 80s in a gentleman's shop named Brad Barrows. Brad had chopped the top in the 80s and just flat blocked the car at that time. So when I bought it, I started wet sanding and I removed all the black and exposed this. At the time I did that, from the belt line up was basically bare metal once I got the black primer off. So I had to do some work on the chop. I ended up fixing the door tops. I ended up fixing the roof, fixed the whole chop. The top was filled in with a piece of sheet metal. I removed that. I cut that all out. It still has the original wood kit still in the top of the car. So what I did was, so with the original wood kit still in the car, I left that there, and then I took the insert that I cut out, I modified it. I put a belt line all the way around the edge of it, and I made it with 4 threaded posts with wing nuts, so I can take it off, put it back on, whatever I decide to do, depending on if it's gonna get rained on or if I'm gonna be on a long road trip, something like that. It's got an old chrome windshield frame that was painted at one point in time, so I just left it the way it was. Got glass put in it, so that's done. Car didn't have deck lid hinges. I built my own deck lid hinges, my own rear firewall, seat frame, the whole bit. The doors shut, closed just fine. It's got a flattened Model A front cross member in it, and the rear cross member is a piece of round tube. So on the back of the car, didn't have deck lid hinges, so I ended up making my own. If you guys go way back in the video series on this particular car, you can see the process of me making some deck lid hinges. So I did that, did all the sheet metal in the rear. It's just sitting here. It's going to be riveted down. Again, the body is welded right to the frame, so I have no way to access things. So I wanted to make sure these were riveted, and in case I ever need to remove them. Got an F100 gas tank in it, built the mount and everything for that. Got a Volkswagen Beetle or van trunk lid latch. That's how it was back in the day. So I replaced that. And I ended up paint matching the top of the car to match the bottom of the car. So that was me, and then I also paint matched the deck lid. Got it pretty close enough. I've got a lot of things that I'm working on. You can see the heads are over here, sitting on my bench. Got my clutch. It's an NOS Schaefer clutch. Found that at Belmont Speed and Custom, Billy Belmont's. Got this flywheel from my buddy Pete. Been able to pick up a lot of cool parts for this car, this being one of them. So this is an early 60s Corvette generator. That's got a tack drive on the back that someone chromed at one point in time. And then someone obviously painted the body red. So I'll end up painting the red body and match into the color of the motor when it comes time. But I got a lot of really cool parts like this, a lot of old chrome parts. So very fortunate. So again, like I had said, what I'm working on right now is the oil pan. I got one of those barrel tumblers, and I've been tumbling parts. That's part of the throttle linkage for my carburetor setup when it comes time. So I've been tumbling parts and cleaning nuts and bolts, but in the meantime, this is what I'm working on. This is a 371 Oldsmobile oil pan, and what you notice the difference on these oil pans is they have this extra capacity. It's essentially just an open filter. It's like a filter canister, but it's wide open. You can see inside there. That is just for additional oil capacity. These engines were designed in '57 to run in NASCAR. And then halfway through, I guess, the NASCAR season in '57 is what I read online. They actually outlawed them because they were too fast. And that's what partially I think why the oil pan was designed the way it is, was for the additional oil capacity. Because the cars, I guess, would have been on an embankment, turned to the left, which would have forced the oil to the right. You can see it's got a windage tray inside it also. So I went around and peened pinned down all the bolts on the flange, on the rail, to make sure that they were pointed down a little bit. When I crank the bolts in tight, it won't force the gasket out as much. So I'm kind of, so I got that all done, and now I'm just taking some parts of brake cleaner and scrubbing the inside of the oil pan to get it nice and clean. So that's what I've been working on for the past couple of days. A lot of sandblasting, a lot of cleaning. But it's all stuff that needs to get done. So I told you guys when I started working on the 34 that I would fire up the camera and I'd take you guys along for the ride. And I wanted to keep my word. I have spent a little bit of time down here recently. Not enough, but some. So as you can see, I'm just slowly cleaning this oil pan. Been using a red Scotch-Brite for a little while, some steel wool. I took a feeler gauge and got in the front edge of this windage tray here inside. Just kind of just cleaning the crud out of it. Hopefully I can get it clean enough where I'll be confident that I'm not going to have any issues moving forwards. Because obviously spent a lot of money on the motor. I need to make sure that the motor's going to be good. The oil pan's clean. The oil's clean. I don't get any contamination in my motor. You guys understand what I'm saying. One of the things that I still need to work on underneath the car is I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with the clutch assembly or the clutch setup. At the time that I had the motor and transmission mocked up in the car, I needed a spacer because for the 4-speed top loader to the Oldsmobile, you have to run a bell housing adapter. And with that bell housing adapter, you need to have either you need to buy a spacer or you need to have one machined for the pilot bushing. So it's basically like an extension. And this would go inside the back of the crank, and then your pilot bushing would go inside the adapter. And I didn't have that, so I wasn't able to get a functioning clutch at the time. So I still need to get my pedal, the pedal mounts done, my master cylinder, all that stuff's done. I just need to create whatever it is, whatever style of linkage I decide to use. I may end up going hydraulic. I don't know yet at this time. If I do, honestly, that would be a lot easier. But I may end up just going with like a Z-bar or something like that, like a GM style Z-bar linkage or something with a belt crank. I haven't quite got there yet, and I won't really know exactly what I'm going to do until I get the motor and transmission in. I like doing stuff like that. That stuff to me is fun. Just like the engineering aspect of it, I like it. One of the other little things that I did that I've been working on last night, I'll show you. These Oldsmobile timing and water pump covers are kind of significant, you know. They're heavy because it's cast iron. I wish it was aluminum, but it's cast iron. So you can see you get the water pump housing up top, you got your outlet there. So you have also your oil fill here and a breather. I ended up taking the tube off the oil fill, cut it in half, and then I found an old flathead upper radiator hose, and I ended up just turning them down just a tiny bit, and I pressed one in one end. I cut this down. Usually these are twice its length, and then cleaned it all up on my lathe because I added a lathe to the shop. And now that, once it's painted, is going to go in there like that, and it will have the breather on top of it. So this is actually a touch shorter than the factory, the length of the factory one. So that was like a little fun project I did last night. I had the heat shut off so I can stop yelling. So little things like that, but the motor is going to have quite a bit of old chrome on it. I have a set of Noxus Customs center dump shorty headers. I'm actually going to be sending those out to have them ceramic coated chrome. So hopefully those will be going out within the next couple weeks. That'll just add to the look of the car. Going to, like I said, be running an Offie intake, 697 Strombergs, and obviously some frogmouth scoops or something like that. I don't know that I'm going to run a hood on the car for now. I like the look of an open hood. Maybe just run the hood sides, which I already have. Those are already done, ready to go. They just need to be painted. So there's going to be a lot of painting coming up pretty soon. Once I get the motor assembled, I get the heads on, I check my clearances, all that, make sure I'm good to go. I'll get this motor all cleaned up real good, get it scotch brighted, and get this thing in primer and paint. I already have the paint for it. I've already picked out the color of the paint. It's not going to be gold like a lot of people suggested. I want something a little different, and I think what I have in my head is going to look pretty good. So I'm excited to get that into paint. The rear axle assembly is still in the top garage, so hopefully that'll be in the garage this week. And I'm gonna set up a little spray booth right in front of the lift. That's why I actually rolled the sedan underneath the coupe. I just did that last night, and I can get like a canopy type of thing set up with a vacuum to blow out the air, and get the rear axle assembly painted, the rear suspension, a couple other little odds and ends. I can get those painted, and then I can also get the motor painted once I'm ready to go. So I'm hoping by the end of the week, if not the weekend, to have a bunch of stuff in paint. And once some things are in paint, I can start putting stuff together. So there is a little bit more engineering and some fabrication that needs to be done under the car, but not a whole lot. Complete front axle assemblies under the car. It's all built, ready to go. Brakes are done, the whole 9 yards. So we're good there. Yeah, so not a lot really to video today as far as like actually doing stuff, boring stuff like cleaning, sandblasting. But I just wanted to do a quick little update and let you guys know where I was at, what was going on, why I haven't been on YouTube, and what to expect moving forward. So expect to see a lot more on the 34. A lot of people wanted me to get to work on the 32. That won't happen until the 34 is on the road, done, running. And then who knows, there's going to be quite a bit of work still that needs to be done on the 34. We've got a Auto Expo coming up in January that is in Maine. I believe it's in Augusta. I could be wrong, but I think it's Augusta, Maine. It's called the Maine Auto Expo, and I'm hoping to bring this car there. It probably won't be running by then, but it'll at least be rolling, and I'll be able to push it into the display and have the car on display. So if anybody's around, I believe it's the weekend of January 12th. If anybody's in Maine or wants to come up to Maine and say hello and see the car in person, please feel free to do so. Reach out, comment, shoot me an email, thisoldhotrod@gmail.com. And yeah, so hopefully you guys will be seeing a lot more of me. I got a couple of days off this week that I'm going to be in the shop. And then moving forwards, it's winter time. Obviously the days are shorter. I like to spend a little bit more time in the winters in the garage than I do in the summer months, because I'm just an active person. We do a lot. So that being said, I want to thank everybody for being patient. Thank everybody for all the emails and the condolences and the well wishes and the Merry Christmases and the Happy New Year's already that we're getting. I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I want to say I'm sorry for not being active and continuously putting out content. I think everybody would agree my family comes first, just like your family should come first to you. So thank you to everybody who has reached out, and hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more of me over the next couple of weeks, couple months. We'll just keep this train rolling. So thanks everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. See you soon. Bye.